I thought I'd make a little video here talking about transfer bar pinch in a Ruger Vaquero. I guess any Ruger really. What transfer bar pinch is, and does it exist, and what should you do about it? Well, this is my Ruger Vaquero that I put together for myself and did a bunch of custom mods and stuff to it. And one of the things I did is I hand fit the hammer to the transfer bar to the firing pin. And what transfer bar pinch is, first of all, it's the hammer not being properly fitted to the gun by Ruger. Because Rugers are not real expensive, they don't spend the money to hand fit the hammer to the gun. They just make the parts, they put them in there, and they fire. But the downside to that is some Ruger Vaqueros, this gun has been safety checked, it's unloaded. Okay, see the transfer bar down inside here? Right inside here. Firing pin is underneath it. Now, when you pull the trigger, keep the trigger pulled back, the transfer bar comes up. The hammer, see the bottom of the lower part of the hammer? That hits the transfer bar and pushes the firing pin forward. The top part of the hammer, see that? This top portion, see the top portion that's flat, and then the second step, that's the part right here is what's hitting the transfer bar. This part up here, right up here, that's supposed to hit the frame. Okay, that's what that's there for. When this falls, this hits the frame. The second step pushes the transfer bar in, and it's perfectly fit. That's how it should be. Well, the way a lot of Rugers come, when this drops, your hammer hits the transfer bar and it pushes all the way forward, but the top portion of the hammer never comes all the way down and hits the frame. Now, the firing pin goes all the way forward like it should. The transfer bar is engaged like it should, but this top part of the hammer does not hit the frame, so all the force gets generated to the transfer bar and to this area right here on the hammer. Now the hammer is going to be fine. It's not going to suffer anything anything negative from that. But the problem is people are breaking transfer bars because that transfer bar should not be hit like that. If it's perfectly set up, it should drop. You watch this gun, the hammer hits the frame. Okay? Now, to show you that it's hitting the frame, I'm pushing on the rear of the hammer, and you watch. The trigger will release, which means the transfer bar dropped back down. Now, on a lot of Ruger Vaqueros, when you fire them, you push on the rear of the hammer, you go to take your finger off the trigger, and it won't move back forward because it's being pinched by the second step down here on the hammer, because it's not perfectly fit. Now this gun has been perfectly fit, so when this all drops down, and you see right there, if I drop it slowly, here, you see how the hammer is not touching the frame, and I have to push it forward to the frame? That's because the firing pin is under spring pressure. But pushing it on the hammer with your thumb, the trigger should release, and then you know that there's no severe impact being applied to the transfer bar. It really, in theory, it should last forever this way. It should never break because it's not taking that big impact. The impact is hitting the top of the frame, which is very robust, and it's hitting the top of the hammer here. And some of the force is being absorbed by the transfer bar and the firing pin spring. A little bit of the force is being generated there too, but it's being spread out. But that really heavy hit is the top of the hammer hitting the frame. Okay? Now, should this be hand fit? Should this hammer be hand filed and fit to your gun? Well, if your gun pinches like that and you dry fire a lot, you're eventually going to break the transfer bar. Eventually, it's going to break. Should it stay? Should you just leave it if it is pinching, or should you have a gunsmith work on it? That's up to you. That's something you'll have to decide. You know, the Rugers are like this. You could probably dry fire them a lot. The gun, if you're just a normal person that shoots, you know, most people will never even know that it's pinching the transfer bar like that. But ideally, you don't want it to be like that. I'm not telling you you should go mod your gun out. Okay. Obviously, I did all the work on this gun, and it's awesome. But that's something for you to decide whether, you know, if you're only gonna shoot your gun once in a while, and that doesn't bother you, that's pinching like that's pinching your transfer bar, then, you know, then that's up for you to decide if you choose not to do anything about that. Obviously, Ruger, it doesn't bother them because they're putting guns out like this. Personally, I think that's terrible to put a gun out like that, because, you know, what if somebody had this in their home and they were expecting to use it to save their life, and they went to fire and the transfer bar broke, and some people came in and raped, murdered, and killed them. You see what I'm saying? This is something that you know, to me personally, I think that's terrible for them to put a gun out like that. You know, however, most people breaking these transfer bars is probably people sitting and dry firing over and over and over and over and over, and eventually it breaks, it gives out. But anyway, I just wanted to show what that was, because some people saying, you know, if your hammer doesn't come all the way down, then it's being pinched. See, look, it's not all the way down. No, that's not entirely true. I lowered it. See, now watch me push on the hammer. Now it's coming all the way down. So you have to apply pressure on the hammer, or dry fire it, and see, boom, it hits it. But even then, it could pop back up on that spring. So you had to push it back down. Right here is where you need to check it with applying pressure from the back. Because when I go out like this, it hit the frame and then it bounced back up. You see what I'm saying? So it looks like it, but I actually can push it down. So it's perfectly fit. But anyway, that's what transfer bar pinch is. And guns are coming out of Ruger like this. My gun was being pinched very, very severely. I had to mod this hammer quite a bit for a perfect fit. The firing pin still comes through the frame just as much as it did when it was getting pinched. See it? But it drops freely, because right now it's perfectly fit between the spacing between the hammer and the transfer bar. That second step right there is perfectly fit to the transfer bar. So ideally, in a perfect world, that's how you want your gun. Okay, I've got an old Colt Trooper. It's perfectly fit from Colt. But this gun definitely was not. And I just thought I'd talk about that a little bit. Catch you later.